Hello, Tammy.
Hey Nate, how you doing?
Not bad. You?
I'm doing awesome. I'm heading to Colorado this weekend for a sister's weekend.
Sister's weekend.
Yeah,
Okay. Well,
my
that sounds interesting.
Yeah, she's flying to Denver, and we're gonna do some hot springs and a ghost town, and we're gonna sleep in a bubble.
A bubble.
Yes, it's this bubble that's open to the sky. But I mean,
That sounds interesting.
yeah. I don't know.
I've never been to Denver.
We're going down near Buena Vista, Cannon City, down in it would be around Pikes Peak on the other side of Colorado Springs.
I will next. It's funny. Before the show, we were talking about the conference that my company runs every year. It's going to be in Denver next year, so I'll get to go see Denver.
Oh, yeah. You'll have to let me know. We could hook up and have lunch or something. Or
yeah.
I was going to see if I can find a picture
of the bubble. Is this like bubble.
It's
like a structure that you have rented time in, or is this like a?
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
People who are listening instead of watching, she's showing a picture of what looks like two bubbles on a wooden platform. It's crazy looking.
Yeah.
Maybe if you can put a link for it in the show notes, people can click on it and look at it later.
So it's like a clear.
That's cool.
Clear windows. I asked my sister the name of it. She booked it. It's in Cripple Creek, Colorado. I've never been there. But we might go to a gold mine too. So no off-road trails. My sister doesn't do heights. She's worse than me. So
okay, it's officially in the show notes. You're going to sleep in a bubble in Colorado.
Oh, there you go. And then I did I rode shotgun 2 weekends ago on Holy Cross, which is a Jeep Badge of Honor trail, which I'm going to save for the next show. Because are we going to do trail ratings?
Yeah, we might as well.
Okay, so
we might as well.
I'll talk about that the next show. So I'll let Nate have a turn. What have you been up to?
So a couple things. First of all, we talked about the jamboree that I was preparing for last time. That was last weekend, right? Not the weekend before last.
Right.
So not like yesterday, but the weekend before. And I actually got to lead a trail this time, which might sound like nothing, but because I do that all the time. I've done plenty of trail guiding, but I've never done it for the jamboree before.
Right.
So for some reason, I was like nervous about that. I don't know why.
Because do you usually lead with Penny and then?
So yeah, usually
new trail guide.
Usually Penny leads and I either mid or tail, which is a lot less stress because you're not the one leading the group.
Right.
You don't have to make sure everyone's having a good time. You just have to make sure everyone has what they need. I mean, yes, like there's responsibility there, but it's not nearly as much as the person leading. But I've done it plenty for off-road consulting. And usually when we do that, you don't have a tail. It's just you and the group, right? So you think there's a lot more pressure there. But yeah, for whatever reason, I was nervous about it. But this year we split the group because a lot of times, especially at jamborees, the green trails get like they're the bottom of the barrel. I say that like it's a bad thing. They are the lowest point anyone can go. So if they don't want to do the harder trails, they by default end up on the green trails. So they fill up, right? Because Jeep Jamboree, you get people of all skill levels, right? And you're kind of, when you're the catch-all, you end up with groups of like 20, 24 rigs.
That's a lot.
Yeah. If you've ever been in a group that big, you can understand why we decided this year, if the group was over like 20, we decided we're going to cut it in half and I'll take half and Penny will take half. So I took one half and it was great. We had a great time. I hope all the people that were on my trail had a great time too, but I had a lot of good feedback and it was like a whole different experience because I got to interact with everybody a lot more. And I thought that was cool.
Because there was less people or because you were
Well, partly because there's less people, but partly because I was the leader, right?
Right.
So if they had anything, they had to come to me. Any questions or whatever. They didn't have to because I still had a tail gunner. But Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why this is such a novel thing for me. I've done it so many times, but I guess
Right, I
it's
was gonna
different because
say.
it's the Jeep Jamboree. I don't know.
And are a lot of these people that go to the Jeep Jamboree, are they typically like they're not off-roaders? Are they just have a Jeep and they're like, "Oh, let's try this out," or do they have an
So
experience?
with the Jamboree, they used to have a limit on the number on the size of your tires, so that you didn't get the insane wheelers, and that limit was 37 inches, right? They recently upped that limit to 40s because they're getting so common nowadays that there were too many people that couldn't come because their tires were too big. So if that gives you some idea of how high it could be, right?
Right.
And the trails at AOAA that we use for the Jamboree, they can get challenging for people on 40s, right?
Right.
So like the breadth of trails are there. However, I don't know, the Jamboree, it there's I run into two different kinds of people at the Jamboree. There's the people that are like absolutely addicted to Jamborees. And they're the ones that are going to have like the bigger rigs and they're there for the challenge. They want to really like have a challenging trip, right? And then there's the new people, the people that like, we had someone with a Renegade this year. She had a Renegade Trailhawk.
Yep. Yep.
And if you have a Trailhawk or a trail rated vehicle from Jeep, right? So like they don't give this out to like the new Jeep Compass owners or whatever. But if it's a Trailhawk or trail rated, so that means like the Wrangler. I don't know if the Grand Cherokee is trail rated anymore. But any of them, the Gladiator, stuff like that, they give you information about the Jeep Jamboree. So you could be like just rolling off the Jeep lot.
You're like, "Oh, cool. I'm gonna
Like,
go to this."
it's out. So, and then we have to try to make sure they have a good time. So the Renegade, she did really well. She went to Jeep ran these adventure academies, or they have been for a couple of years now, in partnership with Jeep Jamboree. So a lot of us guides have also been doing these adventure academies. I haven't done one, but they're basically training, right? Like medium training. It's not like in depth like the stuff you got from Kyle, but it's like how do you like the basics, right?
Put it in four-wheel drive.
So she had been through one of those, and she wasn't in my group. Penny took her, but apparently she did really well both days. She left with all of the body intact. None of that cladding that's under the doors and stuff on the Renegades was removed. It was all there when she left. She did really good, they said. So, but anyway, that's the kind of stuff we get to deal with. Is the brand new to the experienced.
Right.
And sometimes you get experienced folks that just want a nice day on the trail, so they'll take the easy trails.
Right. Sometimes it's nice just to go
Yeah.
somewhere and just chill and just be out in nature, look at the scenery. You're not stressing about having to drive your rig home or breaking it, and just have a good time and socialize and have camaraderie.
I just like getting out there sometimes.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be crazy challenging every time I'm out.
No. I'm happy to go on a forest road.
Yeah. Yeah.
So today we have a guest. It's kind of our first official guest. I know David was on talking about lightening your load because he went camping, but this is our first real official guest.
Yeah, so this is something I've wanted to do with the show, and we even talked about it on the first show, this idea of a community spotlight. Okay. So our guest today, and we'll introduce you to him in just a minute. He's a content creator, he's a Jeep owner, he's been a friend of ours for a long time. And so a perfect fit for like the first run at this idea of a community spotlight, right? But I wanted to call out that if anybody has anybody they would like us to talk to on the show, or if they'd like to be on the show, reach out. Either hit us up on social media. You can find links to that in the notes, but just look for the Off-Road Insiders podcast, or send us an email, offroadinsiders@gmail.com, and we'll try to get that set up. But without further ado, we've got Mark, and I'm going to bring him in right now, and we can say hi to Mark. Hi, Mark. Mark, you're still muted, I think.
Hey, Mark, how are you?
Yeah, you guys set the bar way too high with that introduction. So
I told you wouldn't have to mute while you were there, but you did anyway, and now it burned you.
I'm stubborn. What can I say? So
anyway, Mark runs FM Jeeping, and I'm gonna let Mark with his introduction tell us what the heck FMJeeping is. So Mark, who the heck are you, and what's FMJeeping?
Well, my name is Mark. That's how I start all my videos. Hi, my name is Mark.
Hi, Mark.
Hey, I'm Jeep Mama.
So I run a channel called FMJeeping, which basically showcases all the shenanigans I get into modifying my Jeep Cherokee XJ, and kind of the good, the bad, and the ugly of owning a unibody off-roading rig, and how far can you push a unibody.
So how far have you pushed? Well, first of all, what
I was going to call
year?
it something, but I don't know how far I can say.
Oh,
What
ship
dumpster fire.
You could call it a dumpster, right? That's the common colloquialism for XJs anymore. I don't know why.
Dumpster? I haven't heard that one.
I don't know why. I guess because they were so cheap for so long. They're not anymore, apparently.
Oh, really? I heard
Yeah.
you could get them for really cheap.
Not anymore.
That's kind of changed
now because the Wranglers are so expensive. People are like,
they are crazy.
Let's try to do an XJ, and now that price is supply.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it, right? So the Wrangler TJ and the XJ had a whole lot of similarities between wheelbase and drivetrain and all of that, right? Now, yes, there's differences. There's probably people screaming at me right now. They're not the same thing. Right. No, they're not the same thing. They're similar. Okay,
chill out.
They share a lot of parts.
Yeah, so a lot of people, when the Wranglers and especially the used market for Wranglers got so expensive, they started looking to XJs, and now XJs have gotten expensive. So I don't know what they're doing now.
What year do you have, Mark, of your Jeep? What year is it?
I've got a 98.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it's not the newest, but honestly, it depends on who you talk to. But it's one of I would say the better years with the least amount of problems. Once again, people are probably screaming at that too. Because some people are the pre-96.
Everybody has their opinion in the Jeep world, right?
Oh, totally.
Yeah, I mean, I've had weird issues with the 4.0 in the 05 LJ, and you probably don't have any of those issues because you have a simpler 4.0.
I would say so. Yeah, I don't have a Renix, and and I don't have a 97. So I knock on wood, I haven't had many issues.
Was 97 a problem year?
Yeah, they did like a bunch of upgrading in terms of like the wiring and circuitry and stuff like that. And there's 97 has a habit of being kind of a electrical gremlin year. And then 98, they kind of figured everything out, or mostly everything. So
I had an 01 for a couple years. I never built it. I should have kept the thing, but anyway, I had an 01, and it was a decent little vehicle. I don't know why I got rid of it, but I sold it and bought a JK, a 2-door JK. I should have just kept it and built it because it was a solid little vehicle. I don't know what I was thinking.
Is your XJ a trail rig only?
Yeah, it is now. So when I bought it, it was like, especially when I started on the JTS, kind of calling in there, it was really just a trail runner, basically like a weekend warrior kind of, get up to the lake, go fishing type of rig, take the kids out on a trail type of thing. And that quickly got sidelined.
That's how we all start, right?
Yeah.
Oh, off-road.
I'm not going to build this one.
If you told me where it was going to be, where it is now, like 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, I would be like, no way would I do that. Now I'm just, there's barely any glass in the thing. There's no doors.
So can you give us like a timeline view of like where it's gone since you got it, or will that take too long?
I can probably sum it up real quick. So I owned it. I think I got it the end of 2017. I think I got it in the end of 2017. And then basically for about 2 years, I kind of tried to keep it. I can't believe I'm going to say this nice. Like I tried to like refurb it, I guess.
Yeah.
And it didn't really kind of like, and then I went wheeling, with a couple of guys that got me into rock crawling, and like, I just got a little bit of exposure, and I'm like, I kind of want to do what they're doing, but I can't do it with my current setup. And then before you know it, I'm on tons. It's caged, 40-inch tires, all types of shenanigans.
So maybe you said this and I missed it. How long have you actually had it? How long ago did you get it?
I think 2017. And so, yeah, from 2017 to about 2019, 2020, it stayed. Basically, I think the biggest I did a 3-inch lift and some 33-inch tires. And then basically COVID happened. And then the train went off the track. It went off the rails.
Now, 33s on an XJ is more work than people think, right?
33s, not so much. 35s, definitely. I got spoiled when I bought this. Somebody had already done like the fender tuck and everything, or the cutting of the fenders and rolling the fenders. So I didn't really have to do that. I stuck 33s under there, no problem, on a 3-inch lift, and I could do just about anything that I thought was good around here. Well, needless to say, there was a whole nother level of stuff that I had no
clue about.
Yeah,
I know.
no clue about. So
yeah, I kind of went the opposite way, right? Early on, when I first got into Jeeping, I was part of a group online, and they were like crazy California wheelers, and they were posting pictures of some of the most insane trails. So that's been a goal of mine since I got a Jeep.
Now, have you done were you into Jeeps or off-roading or anything before you got this XJ? Had you done that before?
So it's funny. I was just telling the story the other day. I did very, very little in what I thought was the most extreme stuff. I had a Ford Explorer Sport Track. I lifted it about 2.5 inches, and I put my 33s on that originally. And I was taking it on stuff. I was doing these trails that I was taking pictures of, and I thought it was the greatest thing in the world. I look back at it now, I wouldn't even slow down for half this stuff nowadays. And but yeah, I did about a year or so of stuff with my my Ford Explorer, and what I found out is that it was just so hard to it was my daily, and it was hard to modify it to do the bigger stuff
and then be able to keep driving on the asphalt.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a fine line.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
Yep. So,
and I would argue to say most of us have been there. I know you, me, and Tammy have all been there, right? Tammy's still there.
And I'm crossing my fingers. It's funny that you say that about you. You think you're on oh my God, this is the hardest trail ever. And now you're like, oh, good Lord, Tammy, that was so easy.
It's kind of embarrassing if you think about it, right? It's
I know. You have all these videos on YouTube, and you're like, oh.
I think back to the first year I went to Paragon it was just me and a friend, right? It wasn't even a bigger organized group. And some of the trails I hit that seemed so insane at the time that I had such trouble with on my YJ with 31s, right? And I mean, the LJ is not that much bigger. It's only on 33s. But I look at that stuff and I'm like, that is so simple.
Yep.
Why was it such a problem?
So what?
It's funny how we grow.
So you're in the northeast part of the country.
Yep.
Right?
I'm in Connecticut.
So what kind of trails do you guys have out there? Or do you have parks? You go to I don't think you have public lands, do you?
We have we have near zero public land. So we have we have 2 places in Massachusetts, which is probably about 45 minutes to about an hour north of me, that are decent, but they're not the greatest, but they are open land. We've kind of always had that doom cloud looming over us. We're going to take these away if you guys don't, stop going off trail and things like that. And there's groups that are there actively patrolling that area and kind of doing their due diligence to keep that trail open and being stewards of the land.
And that's good anyway,
Yeah,
I mean, people should be doing that, especially if they like the sport, right?
Yeah. And in Connecticut, there's really not much. Most of it's all privately owned, private land. To really do anything good out here, you got to be part of a club or know somebody. It's easier just to be part of a club. But we do have some really good wheeling out here. I'm not too far from one of my favorites, which is Field and Forest. And
I've seen some of your videos, and it looks like you do have some challenging trails out there, even for the rig that you've built into.
And mine's still kind of small in the grand scheme of things. The guys that I'm kind of starting to hang out with more are definitely more built than me, but that's all the more challenge.
That's how it always goes, right?
Okay.
There's always a bigger fish out there.
Oh, totally. Always. And what kills me though too is like hanging out with like, it's just like anything. If you play sports or anything like that, you wheel with people or you play sports with people who are better than you or do bigger stuff or are a little bit more experienced. You learn from being around them and you learn from wheeling with them and things like that. And before you know it, you're just like, I'm going over something that I wouldn't even look at, 2 years ago. I'm like, no way in heck I would ever do that. And now you're just bopping right over it, put tires on it and just.
Mm-hmm.
But with sports, when the people around you are better than you, it takes a whole lot of time and effort. With a Jeep, it just takes money.
I was just going to say, yeah.
Just empty every pocket. What are the trails like in Connecticut? Like, what would you like? Are they like, rocky or woods?
A little bit of everything. So I mean, everything up here is kind of tight. It does have it's rocky, has some mud. I mean, we have a little bit of everything. It's kind of it's a little bit of everything.
Have you been to Roush Creek before?
Yes, I have.
So is it kind of similar to that?
It doesn't have the traction that Roush Creek does, but so I got lucky when I went to Roush. It was dry and it was just hero traction everywhere.
The rocks in PA here do generally have decent traction, unless they're wet. If they're wet, it's a whole different ballgame. Or snowing. In the snow, forget it.
So I took off the day before it rained, and my group that stayed behind, like I saw them struggle. Stuff that we walked up the day before, they were literally like full throttling and like failing a couple times here and there. So
it's huge difference one day can make in the parks here.
Oh, totally.
If the conditions change, and we've had, we were talking about the jamboree before. We've had a couple, especially when we used to have a spring and a summer jamboree. This year we did a summer and a fall jamboree. The spring jamboree always had one day we would get a torrential downpour, and it just changed things so much.
It's been super rainy out here. I don't know how about it down in Pennsylvania, but it's been crazy rain.
We've had so much rain here in the Cheyenne area. They hardly ever get rain. And they're actually saying, I think for the whole upper section of the whole country, we're getting an El Nino or a La Nina. I forget which one. And we're supposed to have
sort of weird weather pattern.
Yeah, we're supposed to have a really, really wet winter. So lots of snow.
Great. My favorite.
Yes.
They do. Last year's winter in Pennsylvania, I think we got one snowfall, and it was almost nothing. So I will be happy to get some snow this year because the kids, right? They want to go out and play in the snow, and last year there was none.
Yeah, there's a lot of people out here that do snow bashing. I don't know if that's something you guys do up in Connecticut where you just go out and wheel in the snow.
Like they all go north to like New Hampshire and Vermont to do like that snow wheeling. I wouldn't mind doing it. It's not my favorite. Like I got spoiled. I like just doing rocks. I don't like mud. Riding's fun, but
and you get more stuck in those situations. And who wants to get out in the cold and the snow and the mud and hook up a strap and all that?
I tell you what, I've seen some snow wheeling videos from folks in the Northwest, and it doesn't look as cold as you'd think it would be. They're out there in like hoodies, and maybe it's the same effect as like when people from the Northeast go to Florida, and like I'm in shorts and a t-shirt and the locals are in hoodies and sweatshirts and stuff, right? Because it's like 70 degrees, right? Maybe it's the same effect. I don't know. But I've seen some of them where it's like they're in a foot deep of snow and they're just out there and like,
Well, I saw one video that Nate Dirt Lifestyle did, and I'm like, I'm good. I'm not doing it. Like he went up with him. I think it was him and two other people, and they got caught in some crazy blizzard. And they got
I've seen some of his stuff. They're crazy.
I'm like, I'm good. No.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go home tonight.
I like driving in the snow, like on the roads, because everybody else is home and I can like go out and not worry about other people. Off-roading in the snow, I don't know. I've just never really had a desire to do because there's so much more at stake, especially the further away from, civilization you get, right? But I don't know. Maybe it's just an acquired thing.
So you mentioned Dirt Lifestyle, which is a YouTuber, and you're a content creator too. So what made you decide to do that? Do you have like a background in videography or editing or anything like that?
Yeah. So I grew up as a skater. I did skateboarding, rollerblading, skating.
Wow.
I filmed for all that. I did at one point. I was getting talked into doing bike stunt videography. I did that for like a summer, and then I gave it up for a while, and then I got into wheeling, and I just wanted to showcase some of the little bit of cool stuff that I was doing back then. Now I look at it, like I said, I'm like, this is like
lame, right?
I'm just gonna make this private. I don't want anyone to see this.
Kind of, and that's kind of how I got into it. I started off with 2 VCRs.
A VCR, that's funny.
2 VCRs, playing one and recording another one and stopping it and then getting the next clip.
Kids today don't even understand what you just said.
No, I know.
They're like, what?
When I was in television news, we were using 3/4-inch tape, and I had a big, huge deck, video recorder deck, and then the camera and the cables, and
Well, but that was when you had to have like a cameraman with you because he had to be like.
I was the cameraman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm thinking about like those big shoulder units. You used those?
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. Okay.
I should find a picture. I'll find a picture one day and post it on my social media. But yeah, back in the day, those old days. Now, shoot, all the reporters and photographers just use their phones.
Yeah, I remember when the Cisco Flip. Do you remember those? They were like a little bigger than a cell phone, but they would record 1080 high def, and you could put it in your pocket. And they're like, this is it. This is the end of the shoulder camera, right? And then phones surpassed that. And now it's just like reporters carry their phone around and they record stuff on their phone. Yep. It's insane. the technology curve in the past 15 years. It's just crazy.
Well, I mean, shoot, like look at it. I mean, people are using drones constantly. I mean, now they have like ones that follow you and like,
Yep.
The Insta 360. I mean, you can get shots of it's nuts.
Do you have a drone?
I do not. I've contemplated that, but I don't.
Haven't we all?
It's just a lot of work.
And
I don't want it to be a job. I want you want to be able to have fun.
We're getting a little off topic, but I will say that it's like a constant arms race. I've been doing the content creation thing, both audio and video, for 6 or 7 years now, and the number of things I have bought that I would not have bought just to make this stuff better, right? The mixer that I'm using to record right now, the camera that I'm looking at you through, the camera I have in my camera bag for when I go out on the trails, right? The tripods, this microphone I'm talking into, right? Like none of this would have been even on my radar if I hadn't been trying to keep up with everybody else.
Right, the Joneses.
Yeah. So you gotta think about that stuff.
Speaking of all that gear, like Nate just said, what he would do different. Would you do anything? How would you rebuild your XJ, knowing what you know now? Would you do anything different?
I wouldn't have done it.
Oh,
really?
Are you serious?
Well, it depends on the day. You got to ask me at certain different times.
Okay, so it's a bad time with your Jeep right now?
A little bit.
Is it broken?
No, it's just I'm at that point now where I have to work twice as hard to get the same result as other people that would have a frame or a buggy or things like that. So it's kind of I'm there. There's times I'm like, why am I doing this? Like I have to work so much harder than somebody who can just like literally just go grab a shock tower, weld it right to a buggy, and then just reinforce it in two places.
So that actually brings up a good sort of like path we can go down here. You said you're on tons now.
Yep.
What did you put under it? What axles did you end up going with? I know the listeners don't know yet.
I was going to say because you've watched me.
Of course, I know. I watched you do it.
You watched me swear all over about it.
Yeah.
So no, I got I got 06 Dana. I'm sorry, 06 Super Duties. So 05 pluses. Let's see, and 10.5 Sterling in the rear. Basically out of a 2006 F350. 538 gears, Grizzly locker in the rear, Yukon spool up front, lockout hubs from Warren. Yeah, that's.
And you did a link suspension both front and rear, right? So you ditched those leaf springs and
got rid of the leaf springs. I'm running. It's an Alpine Peak Precision, basically full belly kit. So I got I'm 4-linked rear, 3-link in the front. Now I'm on coilovers all around. Yeah.
And now initially you did coilovers in the back and you did coils in the front. I assume that was just because like coilovers ain't cheap, right?
Not during COVID.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so I did a lot of that stuff during COVID, which I mean, we're still feeling a little bit of it, but the COVID prices, like ridiculous what people were paying for parts. So
and then the wait times, I remember that was crazy. I don't know if you got bit by any of that, but
not too bad because I did get front coilovers just actually at the very tail end of COVID, and they were used. So I did overpay for what I got in hindsight, but at the time it was a hell of a deal. But it's the wait times suck, but now I think they've kind of got that under control. The prices actually.
Yeah, well, I mean, there were all kinds of delays during COVID, manufacturing delays and parts delays, and like steel went through the roof.
It still is.
Yeah.
So you would totally go a different route for an off-road vehicle.
If I knew then what I know now, I probably would have went buggy route first.
Because that's what you like. That's what you enjoy doing. You like that extreme rock crawling.
I do. Yep. So that's a little more fun.
So it's not necessarily that you don't like the XJ. It's that the XJ isn't necessarily the best platform to build what you've built. Is that kind of a good summary?
Yeah, I think if anything, it has more of a shelf life. So like those unibodies can only take so much, and you can reinforce all you want. Like you can talk to some of the guys who've done this or the bigger names that are driving XJs. They'll tell you spend more time trying to keep the thing together than you are trying to upgrade it, if that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. Like I did floor pans in my vehicle 3 years ago, and they were perfectly flat. You go in there now, you can see bows in in the floor pans on both sides. I've squished and tweaked the unibody so bad, and it's hard to get good square measurements for anything because it's just the thing walks and squeaks or squeaks.
But you still love it, right?
I do.
I was going to say poor Jeepy.
poor little Jeep.
So the bows and stuff, is that from banging on rocks, or that's from like
or is that from the force of
twisting the body?
Probably a little bit of everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, it's.
I mean, I believe it. When I flex the LJ to its limits, I can hear that cage creak. Yeah. Right. So like there's some flex to the frame, even though there is a frame. There's a full frame on the Wrangler. There's some flex to that, and then of course that translates into the body. The body is where the cage is mounted. I can hear the cage like pings. You hear ding, 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 ding.
Yep. It's finding the weak point.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, it's fun, and like I said, I say I would want a buggy, but to be honest with you, the XJ was, I would say, a really good learning platform because it got me into the sport cheap, and it kind of pushed me to be more creative and to kind of learn a lot more about fabrication and things like that. And I'm still a beginner by any right, but like it kind of pushed me to think about things a little differently or go about things a little differently. So.
Plus, I think too, you are a better, I don't want to say that buggy guys aren't better wheelers, but when you start out with something, like that, you become a better wheeler because you can pick lines differently, and you're not
They care a lot less because they roll over, they just flip it back up.
They
Look at
just-
it go. Try it again. Yeah. I've seen the videos.
Oh, I'm just gonna zoom up this rock. But whereas you're like, you have to be strategic about it.
Yeah, that's one of the things I'm happy about having
All right,
wheeled my
thank you.
LJ for so long, like as stock as it is, right? Because you have to think about that kind of stuff, and
So you
it
just
makes
zoom
you a
up-
better wheeler.
Do you just zoom up those rocks too?
Sometimes.
Oh,
It depends on what it is.
Well,
Don't get me
now
wrong.
you can, right? What you said you're on 40s now, or no?
Yeah, but still, there's some things like, so I still have more to do. I still have more to build out. I want to finish the cage on it because, I mean, there's times now where I'm pitched so far to the driver's side.
oh.
I'm literally like almost on my side, and there'll be like a rock right outside my doorway
Coming in the door.
Yeah, and that's a huge thing for me. Like, if I roll, I'm buckled into my seat. The thing that's going to give is my body. So like,
Right.
I do need to do some type of protection there, and that's what I have plans over the winter to do. But like,
Do you have the harness seat belts in your
Yes.
Jeep? Uh-huh.
yeah. So they're harnessed over the shoulder. I don't have the 5-point yet, but when I build out my I gotta wait because I'm gonna be doing a doubler crawl box or a doubler transfer case. I got to redo the whole floor, so I'm going to do that, then build the internal cage to put my seats in. So
Are you getting aftermarket seats then?
I have some. I have some like
Now,
MP seats or something like that.
you can build out the cage to reinforce the unibody, though, right? So that might help you on two aspects.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, I'm going to do some more cross bracing to kind of help that and kind of. But once it, like anybody who knows who's had XJs for any point in time that gets that extreme will tell you that these things have a shelf life. I mean, any vehicle does, but the XJ one, especially the more extreme you go, the faster you use up that life. And like they just tweak and break and bend to the point now where most guys are cutting off the front or the back or both and then tubing out. Like they build literally like, they back half or front half the vehicles.
Huh.
So
well, you've seen that crazy exo cage that our mutual friend Kyle has, Bearded Jeeper, on that one on zip tie that he's building out. I imagine that's part of why that's like that, right? Because it's meant to help support all of that, right?
Yep, and protect the occupant, which is the most important thing.
Well, yeah. Well, it's yes, protect the occupant is number one, but number two, I think on the XJ was probably to help reinforce all that. He's essentially building a buggy with an XJ body underneath it.
Right. It'll only be so long before he cuts all the sheet metal out and just be like, I should have done this to begin with.
Yeah, why didn't I start here? Yeah.
Do you have experience welding and cutting and bending and all that stuff? You're
trained, aren't you? Aren't you weren't trained as a welder? No. I forget if you were or not. No, okay.
No. It's self-taught because of Jeeping. I got tired of like having to I had one thing done on my Jeep that I didn't do, which was my lower control arm mounts on the factory unibody started pulling away. And that was just from rust and wear. And I had to pay to have somebody do that. And I'm like, why am I paying somebody? Like, for the price I paid this person, I can go buy a welder and learn myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then
was it easy to weld? Is it easy? I've been kind of wanting to dabble in it, but
you have the shop. Just go. Have them teach you.
I know.
Yeah, you've got welders at TNT. Just ask them if they could give you 15 minutes a day.
They are so good. And actually, when I went to Colorado with Neil and we had that shop there, he was supposed to teach me. That was our deal. And he never did. But now looking at the welds that are on my Jeep, no. They're cracking and stuff, but those guys at TNT,
he wasn't as good a welder as he thought he was.
No, as he said he was. But those welders at TNT, oh my God, they look like robot welds. They're just
those
amazing.
are the best guys to learn from.
Yeah, I mean, people can generally weld better than robots, believe it or not, right? Because there's a certain the theory of welding is not all that complicated, but there is a point where it becomes more of an art form, and robots are not good at art.
Yeah, but they're really good. But so you self-taught yourself to weld? Did you just watch YouTube videos and?
Yeah, I watched YouTube videos. I bounced stuff off Nate and Kyle, and just like, hey, how does this look, or what am I doing wrong?
They're
going, I know we all kind of started welding together.
Yeah, we've really sort of like What's that phrase? A raising tide raises all boats.
Yeah.
Is that the word I'm looking for? The three of us together, we have a separate chat where the three of us just like talk about projects and talk about things we're doing. And personally, I've been welding. It's crazy, like 20 years, but I don't have the hood time that an actual professional welder would have because mine have been like piecemeal projects here and there. And there's probably 10 years in the middle where I had almost no projects going on, right? But I started the same as Mark, except I didn't have YouTube to start with. It was just like I took the gun and I made sparks. And then I put pictures up on Jeepaholics. And I'm like, how did I do? And they're like, try this, try that, try this. Okay. And then I got better that way. YouTube is a godsend.
But everybody's a welding critic. Everybody's a welding
Oh,
critic.
absolutely.
Oh, that's too hot. That's too cold. That's too fast. It's too slow. Like
everybody has an opinion, right?
The group I was talking about, and I've talked about them on our show before. I swear everybody in that group was there to better the sport and better everyone else in it. I have not found a community as welcoming as that group since. But yeah, you could share welding pictures and they wouldn't run you down. They'd be like, good try, but try this. Not you're an idiot. Put down the gun.
Walk away from the welder.
Yeah.
I tried 4 or 5 times before I actually made myself like, okay, let's figure this out. Like I went through 3 or 4 welders before I bought it, tried it. I'm like, done, sell it. Bought another one, try it, sold it.
Wow.
Like the trick is get something decent, I would say, first. Like you don't have to go top of the line. Don't go crazy and get a Miller, a couple grand Millers. Like
we all want a Miller though.
Oh, we all do one. Or like an ESOP or something, but we
ESOP makes some really cool stuff.
Yeah, they do. But like Yes Welder's fine. I started with a Hobart. Like my Hobart is amazing. I now have a Yes Welder gun on my Hobart. Freaking love it. I love
Hobart. Is Lincoln Electric still around? They were a good one for years. They've been around forever.
That's a great first time. It's a little bit more forgiving, I think.
But I got to tell you, the Yes Welder stuff that I have now, they partnered with SWB Crawler, so most of the Yes Welder stuff I have, I got for free because they wanted me to try it out and talk about it on YouTube. But it's been good stuff. Yeah, and I got a prototype of their multi-process machine, just to make a couple of videos out of it, right? And they wanted feedback and whatever, and they've been great to work with.
Oh, go ahead, Tammy.
Oh, I was just going to say, so do you post all your stuff on YouTube then, all your fabrications, so people can go and look? Or do you, just so the audience can go laugh at your first welding stuff?
You have to have a thick skin to post anything fabrication-wise online. Like a really thick skin.
Like surprisingly, I don't get roasted too hard. If anything, I get more roasted for some of the other dumb stuff I do. Because I do post my fabrication stuff on. I do some of my wheeling, and I also do some I did some testing things. Like I saw one of my bigger videos right now is a catalyst converter cleaner hack that Scotty Kilmer did. And I replicated it, and people just either love it or tear me apart. But
isn't it funny how that happens?
Yeah.
Something that you don't expect.
And I just laugh with them. They're just like, you're an idiot. I'm like, you watched it.
Right.
Sometimes I am. Thanks.
And have you found that, when you first started on YouTube, you're like, wait a minute, blah, 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 and you defend yourself, and now you get to the point. That's how I was. Yeah. And then you get to the point where you're like, oh, whatever.
I think so. I got fortunate. I didn't have a lot of people go crazy at first. Also, nobody really watches me, so that's part of the equation. But the second part is just I had a good group of people that did watch my stuff, and they were really supportive. And it's only recently I've had some craziness, people kind of going off the deep end, and I just laugh with it. I'm like, hey man, you don't have to watch it.
Right. Are you on TikTok too?
No, I got off TikTok.
Oh yeah, I know. I'm debating that because those people are nasty. It's a
They get there,
nasty
yeah.
community.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Well, there's I think the people on TikTok are younger.
Yeah.
And younger people, I mean, I can remember when I was a younger idiot on the internet. It's you haven't learned the finer points of criticism.
or constructive criticism or restraint.
Right.
Or restraint. Yeah. Restraint is probably the better word. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was never young on the internet. We did face to face.
I've been in internet communities since I was like a middle teenager. I think I was 13 the first time I dialed into a BBS.
I'm so old.
Well, this was before the internet, right? So I mean, I just happened to be a nerd a lot longer before I was a Jeep person.
So you just let everything roll off your back then, right, Mark? Just
I kind of, yeah. Like,
so
yeah.
let's talk a little bit about the channel then. How big is your channel? How many subscribers do you have? Where can people find it? That kind of thing.
All right. Well, so the channel is FMJeeping on YouTube. I just crossed 4,000 subscribers, so I'm happy there.
It's not bad.
Not bad. Hey, I thought it'd be a lot further along, but obviously,
I agree.
We all do.
You got to have some type of personality, and unfortunately,
I'm like this.
I don't have it.
I'm like this close to 5,000.
You need
and
to
I've been at it since 2017. So
we all need to be wearing bikinis. That's the only way we're going to get big, right?
Oh God, don't go down that rabbit hole.
I have comments that I will not say on the air about certain other creators and the sort of slides they use. Anyway,
it's a bait and switch. Anyway,
yeah,
yeah. I'll lose a lot of subscribers. I wear a bikini or something on mine.
Yeah, right. You do not want to see.
You do not want to see that. I don't even want to see it. And it's my body.
Maybe we can use AI to generate.
There you go.
Thumbnails from now on.
Oh man.
Make me a thumbnail of a girl in a bikini with a welder.
So FMJeeping, ING, all one word, and people can search on YouTube. And actually, we should put his links in our show notes as well.
Yeah. So
if he wants us to.
And this is another case of I know the answer, but what does the FM stand for?
Frankenstein's monster.
Frankenstein's monster.
Is that your Jeep?
That's the name of the Jeep. My at the time, my son named it, kind of unbeknownst to him.
Oh, that's cool.
I bought it. I'm like, hey, what should we call this thing? And like I said, I had never heard him say Frankenstein. Never heard him ever mention the name Frankenstein's monster. He's like, let's call it Frankenstein's monster. I'm like, oh, okay, that works.
How old was he when he named it?
I think he was 4.
Oh, that's so cute.
Wow. I don't think my kids even know. Like, they know what Frankenstein is, but they wouldn't be able to put together Frankenstein's monster.
That's what I said, but I mean, he was able to kind of pull that. I was like, wow, that's really astute for somebody of your age. Because to be honest, even I forgot that it was the name of the monster, or it's the name of the monster, not the scientist. Frankenstein is the name of the scientist.
How many kids do you have?
I have 3.
Okay.
Yep. So got 3. They used to come with me, wheeling all the time, but yeah, not so much anymore. I don't really trust it. And to be honest, I pulled the back seats out of the Jeep anyway.
Right.
So probably for good reason.
Yeah. My kids like to come along, but as they're getting older, they're losing interest, which is kind of sad. But
you don't want to force them to do that.
No, my kids.
No, exactly.
Interested. They were older by the time I got into it.
Yeah,
you got into it. I remember you got into it pretty late, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I was 2014, and so what was I in my late 40s then? I think, yeah. My kids were older, and they don't want to hang out with their mom. That's just not cool. Maybe with the, if they had a cool dad, they would. But
I've been thinking about trying to get my kids involved with the Jamboree, because there's a lot of young people that are exactly that. They're like the kids of guides that have grown up with dads or moms that were guiding, right? Mm-hmm. And they're really into the sport. So I've been thinking about maybe trying to propose that to the kids to see if they'll come along. But it's a lot of extra work, especially when you're guiding, right? To have a kid there with you, because then you got to watch the kid and make sure that they're not like a problem. You know what I mean?
Or in danger. I mean, it's
Right.
It's
In danger.
dangerous.
They wouldn't be in danger in the Jamboree, which is why I was thinking that'd be a good setting.
Yeah.
Well, I will say my kids came on the Rubicon Trail with me. That's a whole long story, but we ended up going up Cadillac Hill first. I started having to lead that trail. It was a Jeep Mama fan ride, and both the boys were in the Jeep with me. And gosh, Michael was already graduated from high school then, but they were amazing, and we had the best time. And that was a time where we bonded because I had already left Maryland by then, but we had such a great bonding experience then, and we got closer together. So that was nice.
I'm just a little jealous that you've been on the Rubicon. I haven't yet.
I was just going to say, Tammy, you've probably been you've been around a lot more than probably Nate.
I've been around
in terms of wheeling.
Right.
What's your favorite all-time trail? Like, if you could if you could drop it all right now and do this trail, which one would it be?
I would do I would do the Rubicon Trail again. It was just because it's the Rubicon Trail and you hear it and it's scenic. I'm into scenic now. I'm not so much into that rock crawling stuff, but if you are into rock crawling like you guys, Kingman, Arizona has some badass rock crawling trails out there. There's a lot of buggy guys out there, and it is scenic out there, but just I would love to do the Rubicon Trail again. Also because it was such a icky experience too. I don't know if anyone's been following me, but I had a kind of a rough time with Neil on that trail, but it was an amazing.
Oh, I do remember that. Yeah.
I think I vaguely remember that.
Yeah, he had that stupid little yellow Jeep that he should have never run on the trail, and
had to do with a broken Jeep, and
yeah, we had to leave it. But we went and got it back. But anyway, the Rubicon Trail, Hole in the Rock in southern Utah. I would love to do that again because we never got to finish it because the people we were with had to get back home and we just didn't have enough time. And that is a desolate trail. And another thing I have on my bucket list, I've added to my bucket list, is Rock Creek in Roush Creek.
Roush Creek. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
You know, that always intimidated me before.
I've got a friend who just walked into it. We were out there, and this was when I was still doing. We used to do yearly rides with the Jeepaholics guys, and he was at the upper end of our skill curve, right? And we're parked there. We're eating lunch, and he just hops in his Jeep and he starts driving Rock Creek, and I'm like, no spotter, nothing. He's just goes out crawling his. I'm like, what the?
I think I would love to try that because I've gained so much experience. I probably would break my Jeep, but that's a bucket list item. So
I was going to say Rock Creek's the basically rock garden, right? If I'm
right in the middle. It's a big.
It's like a glacial deposit that has it looks like a creek. Like if you were to take a riverbed and dump little boulders in it, not even little. Yeah. They're not huge. They're not like Mammoth at AOAA huge. They're probably 3-4 feet around.
Right.
So how about you? Do you have any desire to come out wheeling west?
Oh, absolutely. Right. I mean, I definitely would love to get to somewhere in Moab, and anywhere in Moab. Definitely want to do the Rubicon Trail. Wouldn't mind trying Fordyce.
That's supposed to be super hard, I hear.
I heard it's with that water crossing too. Yeah, where you have to check it daily.
I'm okay with that. I don't that's just too much. But or like you said, Arizona. I know a couple of people in Arizona that have been like, "Hey, you should come out." I'm like, that's a very invested trip,
right?
Especially for me. But somewhere out there, yeah. And definitely, I mean, there's a lot of places on the East Coast too that I've got to get out to. I've been stuck kind of regional.
There's a ton of stuff that I would love to try now that I have a trailer that I can tow the Jeep around. But now I feel like the Jeep isn't big enough.
Right.
So it's I know. Yeah, I know. And of course, I've got 60s sitting here waiting for me to build. So that'll come.
It's always a project.
I just bought another one. So I don't know why I bought
another Jeep.
What?
No, I bought another. Well, I almost had another Jeep this last week. I almost picked up another one, but I had bought another Dana 60 just because for parts, but
Just because.
Just because I need an extra Dana 60 in
Well,
my back.
no,
and I was
Nate
thinking this
knows.
before. Yes, for parts, right? That is one thing.
But moving that thing is a
Oh yeah, we had to use the engine hoist to get it off the trailer because they're so freaking heavy. They've got to be over 500 pounds. I don't know what it one weighs, but they're heavy.
You
But I
guys
was going to
don't
say
live near each
before.
other, right? No.
What?
No, you don't
What's
live
that?
near each other.
No,
You said we had to hoist it.
no. When I got the
Oh,
60 that we unloaded a couple weeks ago, I talked about it on the show. We had to use an
Okay.
engine hoist to get it off the trailer.
Not
But-
his 60.
yeah,
Your
right.
60. Okay.
Oh.
But I was going to say earlier when you were talking about the XJ sort of like having a shelf life, the work you've done to the XJ, the axles, the links, the coils, the coilovers, I should say, like most of that, the doubler when you put it in there, right? You could part that back out and put into something else, right? Because that's all custom work, right?
Yep. Well,
So-
I mean, at this point, now that I'm coilovers in the front anyway, it's all universally linked, so I can move that over to the buggy if I really wanted to, depending on what the
Yeah.
links are.
Yeah.
And you know,
All
right,
TNT
so-
Customs has links too. So just saying.
Where were you
So-
like a few weeks ago when I needed some aluminum ones?
Believe it or not, we've been at this almost an hour already.
Oh
And
goodness.
And we're going to try to do this with every guest we have. And it's going to change slightly based on whether you've got a Jeep or not, because you'll understand at the end. We have 3 questions we want to ask. Now, I know we've been asking a bunch of questions already, but this is going to be like a standard 3 questions with the Off-Road Insiders podcast. Number 1, Mark, what's your favorite terrain? I think we already know the answer.
Yeah.
Oh, totally rocks.
Right.
Okay. Number 2, doesn't matter if it's an off-road vehicle or not. What is your dream car, dream vehicle?
1969 Dodge Charger.
That's fair. That's fair.
I'm a Dukes of Hazzard guy.
And number 3, this is the one that's going to be
Oh,
context
This is important.
context relevant. You're a Jeep owner. I know you're not a Wrangler owner. Ducks or no ducks?
No ducks.
that was easy.
I laugh. I'm just like, good Lord. Like, I mean, it's cute and all, but come on.
You don't like behead them if someone leaves a duck on your Jeep, though, do you?
No, I don't even get red. Well, I'm an XJ guy.
Do you at least? Well, you probably have never been ducked.
I got ducked. Actually,
Oh.
Nikki G ducked me.
Oh, he
My
did.
kids took it.
Oh, when he was mailed them. He mailed them. I remember that. I got some of those too.
Nikki G ducked me, and I think I got one other duck one other time. I'm like, what the heck?
Did you at least smile when you saw it?
I did have to laugh. I did laugh. Yeah.
Now there's someone we're gonna have to have on the show, Tammy. That would be an interesting one.
Exactly. We need
Nikki
to.
G.
Oh god, I haven't talked to Nikki in forever. I gotta
Yeah.
message him and just mess with him. It's been a while.
Yeah.
He's still doing a podcast.
Yeah.
Is he?
Yeah.
He started doing that 10-minute off-road
10 minute-
podcast.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he's still doing them. I haven't watched them lately. I should. He's a funny guy.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff he comes up with.
He's next level. Like in terms of just what's gonna come out of that man's mouth.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
You're like, what? Yep.
Oh shoot.
All right. So this has been a great
Yeah,
conversation.
thank you so much.
Yeah, no
So I
problem.
hope
Anytime,
everyone goes and checks out some of your videos, your fabrication and your
Don't set the bar too high.
testing. But it's always nice to check out new people.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, like, I know this sounds self-serving because I am also a smaller channel.
The little guys.
There are a lot of smaller channels that people have not like discovered because they're small, right?
Yep.
You see that 4,000 or 5,000 subscriber mark, and you're like, whatever. I don't want to watch this guy. I'm going to go watch, this other one with 400,000 subscribers because they're better, right? Well, that's not always true. Those folks started somewhere.
And it's an algorithm thing now, and I think the little guy's getting left out. And the little guy has a lot of good stuff to say and to share.
Yeah.
Knowledge.
Yep.
Well, I mean, the thing I see is just as if you collab or somehow get with a bigger channel, that automatically kind of boosts you. I mean, if you look at the whole Matt's Off-Road, Fab Rats, Chad's, and Merlin, I mean, they literally just spiderweb out. And that's kind of how, I hate to say it, that's kind of almost how you have to do it now.
Right.
Just kind of get in with the big one. So
Yeah.
I'm not trying to sound ornery or anything, but you know.
It's the truth.
Well, sometimes it's tough not to sound like
bitter.
bitter. Maybe that's the word. Yeah.
I
yeah.
know what
I mean,
bitter's like.
I've been making content for longer than some of the big channels, and
yeah,
for whatever reason, like, and I can't figure out what the difference is. Like, what?
You're not wearing a bikini.
Well, I like Dirt Lifestyle. He's never fallen for those gimmicks. He just makes content and he's consistent about it. And he's got, like, I don't even know. I haven't checked lately. He's got hundreds of thousands of subscribers. I've been doing it longer than him. We make similar content. He's got a much bigger shop and more stuff he can create. But for whatever reason, he took off and I can't. I don't know what it is. We even have the same name.
Well, being tied to Bleeping Jeep at one point, and also being in kind of the mecca where he is, he makes himself kind of open up to that exposure. I hate to say it, like the East Coast. I mean, there's not a lot of bigger names on the East Coast. I hate to say it. There are some, don't get me wrong, but I mean, the big players are like either Tennessee or California, like West Coasts. You know, I mean, if you look at it, Holly moved out there, you know, and she's one of the bigger ones. You know, Matt's Off-Road is Utah, and Paul from Fab Rats is Utah.
Yeah.
So,
guess that solves it. We have to move, Mark.
I've tried. The wife just won't do it. I've tried.
No, I would never. I don't think I'd ever want to move.
The mountains are out here. I love them. I love them. Yep.
Well, you're out there, so come on, make it big. Let's go, Tammy.
I'm trying. And funny thing is, though, people don't like my videos where I'm on the trails don't do as well as my how to use your steering wheel or how to. I'm serious. Some of them are like, what? People still are commenting on some of those videos from way back when. You know, how to use 4-low, how to.
But that type of stuff serves a purpose, because people who are just getting into the sport, I did the same thing. Mm-hmm. When I first got into it, I binged. I was watching everything I could find to learn about, like, either my platform, like the XJ and stuff like that, or Jeeping in general. Like, hey, what are the things I need to know when I first go on the trail? What things should I pack? And things like that. Like, so those type of videos do serve a purpose. It's just finding that audience, you know, like, or having the audience being able to find you. SEO and topics and keywords and things like that, it plays a big part too, and the algorithm's got to like you.
And a lot of the people aren't even off-roaders. They're just people who bought a Jeep and they're like, what's this sway bar button for? So many people buy a Rubicon and they don't even go off-road. Just, you know, they're like trying to figure out, what's this axle button, what does it do? So,
why do I need this?
Yeah.
You don't.
No. I remember when I worked at the Jeep dealer, this girl came in and she wanted to put this bumper on her Jeep, and the salesman's trying to help her. And I'm like, you can't put that bumper on there. And I forget why it was. And he was like, oh, no, we just cut it. And I'm like, no, you can't just cut it. Then you got to sandblast and powder coat it. It's going to rust here in Minnesota. And I'm like, do you even off-road? It was a Rubicon. And she just wanted this fancy bumper that was not made for a Jeep. But anyway, I'm going off topic. So, and we're at 1 hour and 4 minutes.
Yeah, we're a little over, but whatever. But yeah, that is exactly, like, there's definitely an aspect to off-road rigs. I shouldn't say the off-road sport, but off-road rigs that is for show.
Right.
You know, you want to build it because it looks cool, it looks mean or whatever, right? And I'm not going to lie, my first Jeep started that way. It wasn't crazy, but luckily it turned out that when I started wheeling, that some of those things that I had put on it came in handy, right? And then, you know, I kind of changed trajectory from there. That's a hard word to say. After that 9.5% stat.
Right.
Now we're gone. All right. So
if you do, Mark, ever want to buy any parts from TNT, send me an email and I can get you if they're TNT manufactured, or you too, Nate, or anyone listening.
Yeah, well, I've got those 60s to put in, so I'm probably you don't by any chance make Dana 60 trusses, do you?
Possibly.
I think they do.
Yeah. We.
Oh, Nate, you can't. Oh,
now you're gonna have to
yours
buy
off
it.
yet?
What's that?
Have you started cleaning off the 60 yet?
No, not yet. I have the lift to do on the JKU. I like literally just cleaned out the shop and pulled the JKU in tonight. So that'll be anyone who's watching SWB Crawler. There's going to be JKU Metal Cloak 2.5-inch lift content coming soon. Once that's done, I'm going to start working on the Super Duty 60 and the other 60, which is actually like an 80s era Ford rear 60, but which will be so much simpler to clean off.
Oh,
because I bought it from someone who'd already prepped it. I don't think it was ever put in a Jeep, but it was prepped. It has a little truss that they put on it. I'm probably going to cut that off and put a different truss on, but that'll be all the prep that it needs. It'll be so easy. But that front looks like a nightmare.
I might do a video just to do a video to show people, like, because I know so many people ask, like, how much of the driver's side housing do I have to cut off, and how far do I have to sand down and shave on the housing, like on the top, and a lot of those questions. So I might just do one just to do and a half.
Yeah, for some reason I thought you had an older Super Duty front, but you have the same model I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's cool.
Yeah.
I'll probably be asking questions.
I'm sure you will. I might be able to help you. I've been through it once.
Yeah. All right, so this has been fun. A great little windy conversation.
Yeah. All over the place. That's fine.
But we should probably call it a night, folks. If you want to find Mark, let us know where to find you. Like socials or whatever.
Yep. So at YouTube, I'm at FMJeeping, and on Instagram, I'm FMJeeper, and then I do have a Facebook page, which is just FMJeeping. So, but I'm most active on YouTube and Instagram.
Cool. Yeah, and I tagged both of them when I promoted this show. So if you can't find them, just go find that.
Or find me on social media. Just search my name. You'll find me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you want quality Cherokee content, go find Mark.
I set the bar way too high.
He's like, stop. They're going to come find my stuff and they're going to hate it.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. And we hope you'll come back again one day.
Anytime.
Update us on your maybe after the winter season or in the middle, and
give us an update on how it goes. Yeah,
how it's going. We could do that.
Yeah,
cool.
Anytime.
Now we just got to get Bearded Jeeper to stay up a little bit later than his bedtime, and then we can have him on the show. So help me out there.
I'll try, but man, he's in bed by like 8 o'clock every night.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah, and he's diligent. He's diligent about that.
Although he's messaging me at like 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, dude, do you ever like?
I know I'm sleeping.
That's when he wakes up.
It is.
Anyone who doesn't know what the hell we're talking about, he works weird hours, so he's up really early, but he goes to bed early. So I asked him about being on the show, and he's like, on Monday night, I can't do it at that time. He won't even make an exception. So
maybe we can pre-record something.
That's what I was thinking too. So, folks, if you want to hear the Bearded Jeeper, go give him flack over not staying up late enough to be on the show. It's not too much flack. All right, we better close up before we go on for another hour. Mark, thanks for being on the show. Tammy, you got any final thoughts?
Nope, just tune in 2 weeks, and we're going to be talking about trail systems and trail rating.
Trail rating, yeah.
Yeah, and I think I totally forgot, we need to talk about trail closures in Moab.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's right. I heard about that.
Yep.
I feel like that's a bad thing that we should have mentioned, but okay.
Yeah, well, we
Next
can.
time.
It is. It's a bad thing. So we'll be talking about that. So tune in 2 weeks. We'll see you there, folks.
All right, folks. Have a great one.
Have a good one.